Welcome back to another episode of the Adventures of a Disney Dad podcast. My name is Matt. I've got Chip here, and this week we are so excited to have Nikki Marie join us on this week's episode. We're going to be talking a little bit about Disney planning in general for families, some things that Nikki and myself and Chip that we love to do, things that we maybe have experienced that we don't ever want to do again. And we're going to dig into some things that have some fun with Nikki and talk about her life, her content, her podcast. For those that don't know, Nikki Marie, she goes by Nikki Nicki Marie Inc. on Instagram. She also has the Unplugged with Nikki podcast, which was recently named a top 10 new podcast by ABC News. It's a lot of fun. It's a little deeper. Like if you know Nikki's content online, which is where we found her, it's funny, it's lighthearted. Our podcast goes a little deeper with some great guests, and it's really been a lot of fun. I think, Nikki, are you like 13 or 14 episodes in now?
13. Good job, Matt. Today
All
I'm at
right.
13.
I,
11 of
I
the
should
13 launches today.
I love it. So it's out now. Make sure you get a chance to listen to it. Give her a follow on all social media channels, and we'll make sure we link all those in the show notes so that anybody can access them. And Nikki, thanks so much for joining us. Well, like by background, you're also a Walt Disney World girl. Is
Oh,
that fair?
yes.
And a travel
Yes.
girl.
Yes. And you did a
We
great thank
travel.
you for having me. You did a great job with that intro. I have to take notes. I'm the worst with intros on my podcast. I'm like, we're just gonna dive in.
I mean,
So
I feel
thank
like
you.
It's
it
the
like
lawyer in him. It's
just a little bit,
Yes.
which reminds me, like, and I'll go on this separate story for just a second. You've had some like crazy different guests of all different layers on your podcast, and I would really encourage everybody to check it out. One that you had on was the Super Nanny, which when we get off this, I need to remember to tell you a story about this. But you like, I guess, what triggered the podcast? What triggered you like starting in content in general? And we'll talk a little bit about the fun Disney stuff also.
Yeah. So my podcast and my social media presence, I can contribute to two things: my divorce and my ADHD. So like, and I've never been asked this and I've never said it like this before, but right when you said it, I picture these two bubbles of like my divorce during COVID was my answer to all of a sudden I was home with a 5 and 6 year old during the pandemic. They weren't in school. I was hearing from Gary V about he's a big
Ah,
social media, advocate. I was hearing about TikTok for business and I was like, I don't know anything about TikTok and my clients are starting to ask me about it. So I jumped on and rode that train of like there was this new they were like moms and dads all of a sudden on TikTok. So I think I
Mhm.
hit the timing just right during the pandemic, and the divorce was depressing and content was kind of like my creative outlet, like my therapy a little bit.
And
So,
yeah.
that's
and
real.
then why the podcast? Because why not? With ADHD, why wouldn't I put one more thing on my plate? It's like,
That I feel like, COVID was such a trigger for so many people for so many different things.
yeah,
And, that's kind of what I attribute to my whole Disney related journey, whether it's the website, the podcast, like we all hit
That's
that point in COVID where we're depressed.
yeah,
And
and that's where Matt and I started reconnecting. Like, we hadn't talked to each
yeah.
other, and we hadn't seen each other until this past year for over 10, 15 years, and then we started
Yeah.
reconnecting during COVID.
and I think
I
it brings you
my
back. It brought us all back to our roots. This feeling of like, wait, we're supposed to be more still, and we're supposed to be home with our families. Whereas
Yeah.
before that, we felt, why we're paying for these houses and we're making a home, but we're not even spending that much time in it. And now
yeah.
we're, of course, back to the speedy pace, but, we carried
And,
some of it with us.
and then also, like, I think you even posted it today. I love Gary Vee, by the way. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
he's fantastic. And I think you reposted something about that really hit for me, which is like, who cares what other people think? And I think there was a lot of that, especially when we started this podcast. Like, people are like, what's a lawyer that's a dad and a teacher that's a dad doing talking about Disney stuff? Like, you can imagine like the trolls that are in my comments a lot of the time. And like it's something that's really hard to get over. And one thing that you do so well is you put yourself out there and it's really raw. And I think that's what connects with a lot of people in a good way.
Yeah.
How did you kind of get over that initially to start really getting into making content?
It was the feedback that I got during COVID. It was, let's be honest, before COVID, it was either My account was public with no intention of having strangers follow me. It was just my work friends, my
Mhm.
athletic friends. Like, I was coaching field hockey. I was teaching a class at a local university. So I was a professor and I was working a full time corporate job. And so I was a forward facing person, and my reputation was everything to me, right? Like the labels and the perception and everything was like safe. And during COVID, I no longer had my marriage. I no longer had any clients. I was no longer in the corporate world. I no longer had a position at a college. So I was just me. It was like back to me with my camcorder in the middle school, high school days of making my friends laugh. And the feedback, like the dopamine of the feedback definitely got me going where it was like, wow, there are so many women who don't know how to find the light at this crazy time. And if I can be a beacon of light or laughter for people, like that's what I always love doing for my friends. It's just now a world of like digital connection. So that definitely
Yeah.
is what got me going.
It's funny. I first saw your content because my wife was sending me your stuff, and I joke that like there is no higher compliment than being the person whose content gets sent back and forth between a husband and a wife on the couch or
Yeah.
friends on the couch, right? Like when you're sitting there and you're sending the memes, you're sending the reels to each other, like the TikToks, whatever. Like that is the highest compliment possible because it means you're genuinely funny, right?
Yeah.
So we love it. I think it's great. How did you become a Disney person? And I don't want to necessarily call you a Disney adult, but you can wear the crown if you want to wear it.
Oh, I'll wear
Uh,
that crown. Listen, we're all three college athletes here talking about being
100%.
Disney adults. Like, one of the criteria for my neck and my like the next relationship I am in is like somebody's gonna be able to do Disney with my ass and my kids. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Disney adult to me is like I am like that every day of my life. I will get a
Mhm.
good latte and be so excited about it, or I'll try a new snack at Trader Joe's and be like, "Oh, that wasn't what I thought," but I'm excited to like have these little mini adventures. And when you go to Disney, it's like the nostalgia, the sights, the smells, the sound. It's like inner kid, but also this ability to still realize we all are still kids when we're adults. We're all looking for those fun moments. So
Mhm.
now I get to see the world through my kids' eyes. My son knows he's 8. He knows every single um speed of every single ride.
Oh, I love it.
I don't know Disney like that, but he's my
Yeah.
facts kid. And then my daughter and I are there for like, the shopping, the eating, the experience. And it goes back to when I was a kid, my grandparents, like I grew up very humble, blue collar beginnings. And we used to drive through Kissimmee with all the big gaudy, like the
Oh,
big
yeah.
gaudy like
Disney
shops.
gifts here. Yes.
Yes. And we would
Yes.
drive down that street and we'd stay at a little motel and we'd go in through the Disney, like we'd see the Disney signs. And I still remember that being every other year of my life. We were driving down with my grandparents. And now I'm like staying in what then was a dream to me. I'm staying in the Disney properties. It's like you want to give your kids all the stuff that you once dreamed of. And now my kids are like bougie and they don't know what they have.
Do you
Well,
like,
we're still doing it.
gosh, oh,
Well, I
And
would
my
tell you,
daughter's sitting at the Polynesian deck, like, can we get another Dole Whip? Can we go to Sephora at Disney Springs? I'm like, damn it.
I would
Nick,
tell you to
you fit
go. I would
in.
tell you
You
to go
fit in
stay
right
on
here.
Kissimmee. I'd tell you to go stay at Kissimmee, but we drove by it the last time Matt and I were there. I would avoid it.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
were some great places, awesome rental properties, a lot of fun things to do outside. But the dream is to stay in the parks. And now there's no going back for me. It's like,
When you get to the point that the kids are asking for like Lululemon or Sephora at Disney Springs,
yeah.
you're in trouble. But it is so true. Like, I mean, I think there's a lot of parents that deal with that. And I think, to the other end, there's a lot of parents that deal with like that parental guilt of going to Disney, and not to get like too deep on that kind of
Yeah.
thing, but they feel like they have to do everything. They have to spend all the money. They have to buy all the add-ons and do all the restaurants and
Yeah.
do Bibbidi Boppity Boutique. And like, you can do Disney. I think that's one of the biggest things we try and preach is you can do it without all those things. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be, the stressful, gaudy, expensive trip that sometimes you hear about.
Yep.
And it can be affordable. Like, I was debating with somebody over Thanksgiving. Of course, anything I'm around, Disney has to be brought up, right? So it's surprising for a lot of people to learn you can go to Disney cheaper now than you could in 2019.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
Oh,
I would have
we
not
hear
guessed that.
so we hear so much about like the economy and like how bad things are and inflation and yada yada yada. That people forget that like as an overall trip, Disney did they discount a lot of stuff. It can be more affordable, and part of that is because so many people are going on Disney cruises and things like that. And that's more expensive, but it's just it's a
Yes.
different dynamic. But
Yep.
when you talk about your trips with your family and your kids, how often are you going, and what is your like planning process like? Because I know we've talked a little bit. You have a big background in travel,
Yep.
so how do you process and plan a Disney vacation as someone that loves to go so much?
So the big divorce thing was that I got my ex-husband on board with like, we're going to do Disney every year until the kids just don't want to do it anymore. He's like, that's fine. So we went to Disney together in 2019. We had a great time as a family of four, separated in 2020, jump ahead to 2022 was the first year that I brought my kids with just me.
Mm,
So it was like this mom, single mom empowered thing, like the double stroller is going to be my co-parent. And it was just proof to myself that I could still do that, the happily ever after 2.0. But in terms of how do I plan it, it's like going back to that trip in 2022. I watched all of Molly McAwesome's videos, Mammoth Club. She
mhm.
was
uh,
with another content brand before, and I fell in love with her. So I was like, anything Molly says, I will do and I will try. And it turns out she hit the nail on the head for almost everything. I planned how we would do I'm a visual learner, so I can't read an article on Disney. I can't read a
Mhm,
blog. I have to watch the experience. And I think she does a great job
mhm,
walking everyone through the process of like Genie Plus and how to handle it once you're booked. And then in terms of travel agents, I'm a huge advocate for that because it's the hands-on, the person who knows it. When you haven't done it before, it feels very overwhelming. One of my best friends just went and she's like, if it weren't for my travel agent, I'd be lost. And then I sat down after she booked to do all the nitty-gritty of like the snacks and the rides and,
mhm.
which ones you have to
yeah.
hit and secret spots to watch the fireworks from, that type of thing. But that's how I plan it is a little bit of YouTube, a little bit of like internet now, Instagram. I'll like
Mhm.
save some videos that I'm like, oh, we got to try this new snack. And then I'm
That's fun.
vegetarian, so that's a whole other beast of like how to tackle Disney. It's like my
Oh my
kids eat
gosh.
meat, I don't, but there's everything. It's crazy.
I was gonna
So,
say, kind of going with that. What's your favorite like go to quick service being a vegetarian?
oh my gosh. I don't know how to answer the favorite. Well, I'll tell you the favorite character breakfast my kids and I were talking about it yesterday because we're like, wait, we're less than the 6-month mark to our next trip, getting all hyped. But we love, love, love Topolino's Terrace.
Oh,
Oh, I
nice.
just went
Oh,
there for the first
I
time. It
do
was
know
fantastic.
my favorite vegetarian meal
Which one?
is the gnocchi at Trattoria El Forno.
Ooh,
I don't think we've
It's
ever had that mentioned on our show.
no,
you gotta
we
try
haven't.
it. Go try it. And the kids, you've eaten there?
I have.
Okay.
I have not. No, Matt has. Yeah.
Okay, the kids, the little way they present their meals, the kids are thrilled. They have a cotton
Mhm.
candy lemonade, which is, like, probably not good for the kids, but we get it, and they're like, "It tastes like just like cotton candy," and I get a glass of Cabernet, and I do my bread, and I do the salad, and I do the gnocchi is outstanding, like a pesto,
I love
house
it.
made.
When you talk about going as a vegetarian overall, like how much does that impact your Disney trip? I mean, I've heard that they do a really nice job at every restaurant of
Yeah.
having gluten-free options, vegetarian options. Is that your experience?
Everywhere. I go where we wanna go, and I figure it out from there. The only place that I had a harder time with was the, Ohana's breakfast.
Mm.
I personally don't wanna insult anyone listening who loves that. I thought it was so overrated. The
I think
Ohana
that's been the consensus on our
okay.
show.
I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
Chip, when you
so
say so.
excited to get in there, couldn't get in there,
Mhm.
and then I was like, "No," and that was hard for a vegetarian. It was like a meat frenzy in a skillet.
It is. It's
I,
very,
I
very. I would see where it's hard for you. I get you on
I
that.
feel like Ohana and Chef Mickey's both get that nostalgia factor. that people like
Yeah.
just remember it from when they were kids or, from 10 or 20 years ago or whatever. And they're like, oh, it's the Polynesian breakfast. So it's got to be like
Right.
the best meal at Disney. And then you get there and
It was
it's,
stuffed. Everybody was stuffed in there and the bread's out. I'm like, okay, this is too much. We're waiting like an hour for Stitch. Topolino's Terrace, though, 10 out of 10. 10
yeah.
out of 10.
So I actually have been telling guests that Topolino's Terrace breakfast, I haven't had their dinner and it's a different experience, but that was the best breakfast I've had at Disney.
Yes. We
It
love
was,
it. We love it. We
it,
will
wa-
go there
and
every year and we will go to the Hoopty Doo review. We love. And
Oh,
then the grilled cheese and tomato soup at Beaches and Cream. Off the charts.
you're hitting
Off the
some
charts.
tips. You're hitting some tips. That is for sure. But Nikki, one thing that you touched on that I don't think we've ever touched on this show that I think is kind of important is, you've talked about your divorce. You're pretty open about being a single mom and parenting, and it also sounds like at times your ex-husband is an absolute saint. He was going to carol with you. I think you posted about that. I'm sure.
It's called
I don't want to give him I don't want to give him too much credit, but if he's going to go caroling with you, I feel like you called him a saint, if I remember correctly. But being a divorced single mom, like how did your vacations change in terms of like in 2022, like you've done it now, you've had that like moment where you can do it. But like moving forward that you're doing it consistently,
Yeah.
what's different about it? How's that experience been for you?
So it's funny because if you only knew, I mean, it's the co-parenting thing is real. It's crazy. We try to have fun with it when we can. It totally, he would laugh listening to this. Like, it depends on the way the wind is blowing. I don't want to
Mhm.
sugarcoat anything. It's brutal. It's hard. I would not wish divorce on anyone who could make it work. So I'll start with that PSA. But traveling is different because it's like the little things that you don't think of till you're in it, which is, okay, my 2 kids wanna do 2 completely different things right now, or one wants to, ride Tower of Terror and the other one doesn't. And for single parents, they don't have a ride swap. You're not swapping with anyone. So you have to decide, am I going on and is this ride some of the rides I feel like they have a soft spot for the single parents, and they're like, "He can stand right here with us, so that way you get on the ride and he's still standing right there." But not every ride can accommodate that. So that's the toughest thing about single parenting, as well as one's gotta go to the restroom, one doesn't. You have to be with both of them at all times, and if you know being a parent to more than one kid, usually there's a divide and conquer. As a single parent, you're not divide and conquer, and you're just like, "All right." But your kids get used to it, and I think it raises some resilience within them. So no matter what, there's like a silver lining you can look at if you just gotta make it work.
Nikki, you fit right in. Chip and I are both kids of divorced parents, and I have 3 kids. Chip has, I think, what, 5 ki 5 kids?
five
And we
kids.
try when we
You're
started this
outnumbered
Chip
anyway.
Yeah.
when we started this podcast, Chip had 4 kids, so now he's got 5, and we used to joke that he was the soon to be dad of 5, but, it is those little things, like, a great example is when you've got 2 kids and a single parent at a time, like, if one of our wives are with the baby or whatever, is the same kind of scenario, like, who's gonna ride with dad or who's gonna ride with mom? Like, and who rides by themselves is a
Oh, yeah.
huge you don't think about that until you're there, and it becomes a much bigger dilemma. And, like, I guess for parents that have never experienced that before, how do you handle it with your kids?
I'm luckily I got enough of my mom's kinda like grit. It's like her that's my Italian side comes out. So we're in line. I'm not gonna like coddle my kids through it, right? We're at Disney.
Mhm,
We're in the front of the line for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. We've never been on it before. The only option for me is to sit with my son because he was 6,
mhm,
and 6-year-old has to be accompanied by a parent. My daughter was is it 7 when they start being able to ride alone?
mhm.
So my daughter,
Yeah.
we're in the front of the line. She's like, "Mom, I don't want to go alone. There's only 2 seats." And I'm like, "So we can either leave the ride or you can ride it like a boss in the front." And the Disney person with for the ride was like, "You are running the train," and made it this big deal. And like that's it. That's a perfect metaphor for how it works in almost everything. Is, you're going to gymnastics tonight and my son doesn't want to go, but like you're gonna support your sister at her gymnastics meet. Like there's kind of no choice but to just teach them that this is the way.
Yeah.
And that
So those are
sounds
great
easier
points.
said than done. Trust me.
Yeah,
But
I'm the youngest of three, so I was always told you're going to support your brothers at all their events. And it's like, well, that didn't pay back when I was in high school. They were out of career.
Correct. But did it teach you something in the
Oh
grand
yeah,
scheme of
oh
things?
yeah,
Right?
100%.
Like the power of showing up for other people is so important.
Yeah,
And,
So,
and I think it also kind of shows even just the slightest bit of like that magic of being at Disney, right? That you have a cast member that sees it,
yes.
encourages it,
Yes.
they know how to deal with it. You're
Yep.
not like there by yourself,
Yeah.
and you don't have to be alone in those kind of circumstances. And like they see this stuff dozens of times a day, right?
yeah.
And I think that's one of the things. The other thing that I would ask you is, do you feel like going to Disney, and I'm sure you vacation other places, do you feel like going to Disney is easier in some ways as a single mom versus going to New York City or wherever else?
Yeah,
And
it's
the
funny.
reason
We
why,
just went to New York City. Like all the things that I was scared to do a few years ago, we're like, we're in it, we're doing it. So
Mhm.
I encourage parents to stop watching the news and go do
Sure.
the thing with your kids because once you get there, you're like, what was I afraid of? What is all this, like terror in the world? And we've had amazing experience wherever we've gone. So Disney, though, I mean, as an adult, I do feel like if you don't like Disney, I don't know how much more you're gonna love it when you bring your kids. I think there's something about loving it as much as your kids love it. That's me.
Mhm.
So my
Yeah.
kids get to see me excited about listen, there was one day I was like, "You guys are right here swimming." The lifeguards are unbelievable at the resorts. They're covering every single layer, and it's not like you're leaving your kids and going to the bar, but there's this safe feeling of, "My kids are right here swimming. I can have the avocado Dole Whip margarita thing frozen at the Polynesian pool, by the way, is a must-have drink. It's like
Yes.
a
Sign me
lime
up.
avocado. Whoa, so good. And just that feeling of, like, knowing that there are moments for me as an adult.
Mhm.
I made my kids were waiting in line for the queso and the chips before the fireworks at La Cava, and they
Yeah.
see me get excited about it, so I think if you are excited about it as an adult, I think it's kinda gonna spread to your kids. I don't see
Yeah.
it as the opposite. I would never be like, "I'm gonna bring my kids to Disney. I'm gonna figure my way out through it." I don't
Yeah.
know if I'd enjoy it as
The
much.
the one thing that I think I love about Disney, and my wife knows this because it's why I want to go back all the time, is like you don't have to go and like bring all your crap, right? Like especially if you're going as a single parent, you're going down and you don't have to bring your own stroller. You don't have to bring your own car seats.
Right.
You don't have to rent a car. Like there's ways to do everything that for like I mean obviously it costs money, but it's not they can make your experience so much easier that you don't get when you go to a place like Los Angeles or Chicago where I live or
Right.
New York. Like there's so much. We went to Hilton Head last year with 3 kids, and it was like it was like a nightmare. It was like this is a commercial for why I love Disney, right? I got to rent the car. I got to bring the 3 car seats. I got to bring the double stroller. I'm
Crazy.
I'm carrying it all while my wife's dealing with 3 kids. I've got 8 bags, right? You're loading it all into the minivan. Once you get in the minivan, you gotta take an hour trip to the hotel. You
You're
get to the
so right.
hotel, then you gotta go get the groceries because you got nothing to eat.
Yeah.
Or if you
Yeah.
wanna go out to dinner, you gotta load everybody in the minivan.
Yeah.
And like, and the dinner is Applebee's or whatever. Like
Yes.
it's just, I don't know. I think Disney just makes things so seamless and so easy that, if you're a single parent listening to this, obviously Nikki's story is a testament to this. It just makes everything
Oh,
a
yeah, and
lot
people
easier for your
expect it.
family.
There's
Yeah.
kids, it's families, yeah, everything's a shit show. It's great.
So Nikki, there's a question that Chip and I talked about on our last episode that was kind of deep. It wasn't intended to be deep, but I think it's a deep question. I'm going to ask you just because I think it's a lot of fun, and it also I think tells a lot of people about their experience with Disney. What is a ride or experience that if you could and go back and ride it again for the first time, which one would you pick?
Without a doubt, it's Thunder Mountain because I vividly remember my grandmother losing her glasses on it, And most women would be like, "Oh my God, my glasses." She laughed so hard she was almost peeing, like the whole ride. So it was like this giggling. There was no way to get them. And it's just now I go on with my kids. I think of her every single time. And I think of that first time. It was like I was scared, the nerves of like a roller coaster. And then you get on, you laugh the whole time. So Thunder Mountain.
That's
I think it's funny how like quickly people have that
Yeah.
story of that connection to a Disney ride almost immediately. But I know Chip talked to you a little bit about some of your favorites. What in terms of resorts, where do you like to stay?
So I ruined it for myself last year. We did Polynesian.
Mhm.
And we did a split stay. I don't know how many people do that. It's I love it because I like the variety of things, right? There's part of my head that's like, I need to be on the boardwalk because the nights at Epcot, we could just walk home from the fireworks and it's so magical. But then I also like being on the monorail because like same reason, right? Two different things. So we did a
exactly.
split stay, part beach club and part Polynesian. And beach club, I thought nothing can get better than this. And then we roll up to the Polynesian, and I'm like, holy crap, this is like you got the lays on when you arrive, you got the drink in your hand, the entrance way, the looking at the beach facing the castle, like crazy dream come true. Would have never imagined as a kid that I'd get to do it. So I'm in love with Polynesian. In
Are
love.
you gonna stick with the Polynesian or are you gonna
We're
try some
we're
different
going
resorts?
again in 2025, and I left a little opening to decide where we'll split stay again because I like the split stay.
So the split stay is the hack for 2025. I'm not sure. I'm sure you've heard about this, but you get the first day of your check-in, you get the water parks for free. So if you book
Oh,
a split stay, you get a mid-week or mid-trip water park trip
well, I'm gonna have to make sure
for
I go.
free.
Oh,
I
I
know,
didn't do
right?
but I didn't book my split stay yet, so maybe that's why I didn't know.
Yeah, but you if you like Topolino's, you got to try the Riviera too. I think.
That's what so Molly, I interviewed her for my podcast, and she said Riviera and, Animal Kingdom are her 2 favorites, and I haven't stayed at either of those yet.
Yeah, I did not. We just stayed at the Riviera, and I was like not a fan. I love that resort, but it was like too small for
Yeah.
our family. We had
Yeah. Yep.
five people in a small room, but it's a phenomenal resort.
Yes, and I did
Phenomenal.
club level to treat myself for, like, my divorce
Ooh.
gift to myself. Everything that
Oh,
I buy,
100%.
everything that I splurge on, literally, I've been using this term for over a year for everything I buy. I'm like, "It's the divorce gift to myself." But we did club level, and again, I ruined it for myself. That is such a hidden gem.
Club level or
Yeah,
Polynesian?
club level.
So tell us. So what in addition to club level? Well, tell us why you love club level first, because there's not a lot of people. We haven't talked about that much on the show. So why do you love club level?
I think it could bring on a different layer of people who are, like, non-Disney people. I think they could really dive in this
Oh,
way to Disney.
It's a
So,
good it's a good onboarding. I like that
absolutely, I know
idea.
a lot of people that are like, "Ugh," even too, like, snobby for Disney because they just don't wanna, be in the thick of everything going on at once. So club level is just it's a dedicated floor or it's a dedicated space to they prepare special made food throughout the day, refreshments, wine, desserts, like literally every part of the day you can go in there and get a different treat. So we are a snacking family. We're not a sit down big meal 3 times a day family. So we got to have all our pickies. Like before we went into the parks, we'd have our little breakfast. Before like right when we got home for before the pool, we'd have our little lunch assortment, Disney, like Mickey bars and everything in there. And it's included. It's not for my kids are like, "Oh, but it's free in the club level." I'm like, "No, far from." But it's just
grab an extra Mickey
it's
bar when
an
you're walking out.
yeah, it's an ease thing. It's also like a very secure floor. There's, an extra staff member there. I just felt great, especially being the single parent. My kids could walk down the hall, go in and get their snacks, come back to the room, sit on the balcony. So we got to enjoy the resort as much as we enjoyed the park days.
Mhm.
So,
And there's a lot of times there's really good deals on club level, and like people would be surprised at the price difference between a club level room and like a theme park view room or whatever. Like it's not a huge
right.
difference, and if you're going to use it for the meals, like Nikki did and the snacks, and you're going to get the value out of it, it can really be worth it.
Yeah.
But what are some other things that you like to splurge on? Are there any other things that stick out to you that you've done that you're like, I
Right. That
would pay for that again?
Yeah, I think it's that it's the experiences for me. It's not the, "Oh, we're gonna go buy the bubble maker." The bubble ones. You know what I also loved about Club Level? Everybody was so nice, and they left, like, when they were done with the trip, they left the Mickey spray bottles, like, in the hallway for the next person to take, and then,
Oh,
like, we did the same thing, so it was just this, like, weird pay it forward mentality, but,
we have a graveyard of bubble wands at my house,
oh,
so
the bubble
like
ones are
we're
real.
here for the bubble wands.
The bubble ones are real. So the hack that I have before I go into the splurge is Christmas, birthdays. Everybody knows we're going to Disney every year, so the Disney gift cards
Oh
Mm,
yeah.
is just
love
like
that.
the kids get to control their own account, right? So I'm not just like, sure, get another bubble one, sure, get a Stitch stuffed animal. Like you have your budget for your stuff. And then my splurges are like the Hoop Doo review, the Topolino's Terrace, the El Forno, the meals that I know we're really going to enjoy and get an experience out of. That's my splurge.
How important to you is like the line skipping? So it used to be Genie Plus, probably the last time that you went. Multi pass
Yeah.
now, Premier Pass. They've got all these different levels, VIP tours. Do you put a lot of your budget and your focus on those kinds of things, or because I'm
Uh,
sure you're a veteran with that. I'm not.
yeah.
I
I,
know you've got the app figured out, but like, how important is skipping the line for like you and your kids?
so I want to speak on behalf of everybody, right? Because finances are a big thing. People
Oh
get
Hmm.
yeah.
very worked up, like, "I can't afford that." I have a friend who lives a very modest life, and I gave her the tips, and she used them, and she said, "You know what? If we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right." And that was her splurge, was to do the Genie Plus, and I know it's changed, but I'm talking the last trip I went on, the Genie Plus every park
Uh-huh.
day, the Hopper every park day, and then, like, 1 or 2 lightning lanes.
Yeah.
So I
Eh,
go I go in. I go in for efficiency.
I'm not kidding. I tell people like there's certain times of the year that I think it's better for you to not go at all than to not buy lightning lanes,
Yeah,
like or multi-pass or whatever. Spring break's a great example. Like if you're gonna pay up the money to go on spring
yeah,
break,
yeah,
if you're gonna cut your budget off at that point where you're not paying for multi-pass or lightning lanes, then you should wait a little bit until you can go where it's within your budget and it
yeah,
fits, or you can get a better discount or promotion or whatever. Because the difference in your experience that you're gonna have waiting 2 hours in line for Slinky Dog Dash
yeah,
versus not waiting at all,
yes,
it's the difference between hating Disney
yes,
and wanting to go back in the future.
1,000%, and we are not early risers, so when I hear people saying rope drop, I'm like, "We're out,
Yeah.
we're out. We are in the club level, taking our sweet ass time every morning," and that's what we enjoy. So
My
if I had to
gosh.
do it a certain way, I wouldn't enjoy it. I'm doing it my way, and that's the great thing about Disney. There's all different ways.
Yeah.
The
My wife is gonna love
Epcot
you.
at night, though, Epcot at night is so underrated. Like, I have a video up where I said we impromptu ended up we had park hoppers, and you know how once you book 7 nights, it's like, why wouldn't we just buy the 8th day? Because it's like peanuts for the
Mhm.
Yeah.
ticket.
Yeah.
So we used one of our days, and we didn't hop, and we didn't go anywhere in the morning, so we didn't Genie Plus, and we got on we spent a night at Epcot. We got on almost everything except for the hot rides, and I was like, "This is our chill night at Epcot. We're gonna enjoy the fireworks. We're gonna enjoy the simple things. We're gonna go on, Figment. We're gonna go on Nemo. We're gonna like, all the slow rides." That was a whole vibe. I
Yeah.
would suggest that to anyone is you didn't need Genie Plus that night, just go with the flow night at Epcot.
Yeah.
It's the
There's
best.
definitely days and Chip, we talk a lot about this because I'm the non-rope dropper, Chip's the rope
Oh,
dropper. So
Chip's a rope
Okay.
dropper.
I'm a
we've got
teacher. I'm a
uh,
teacher. I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning every
True,
day.
true.
we've got that dynamic, but my wife is the exact same way. She's not we're gonna enjoy the resort, we're gonna have breakfast at the room, we order groceries in, and that's a whole different way to save money too. But like it ends up changing the dynamic of your vacation completely with like depending on what kind of family and trip that you want to have.
Yes.
But certainly like if you're going 8 nights, using a half a day at the resort and a night at Epcot is the way to go. Is there anything we've talked about some of your favorite stuff, some of the things you'd splurge on, and I know we don't have much more time, so I really want to touch on this. Is there anything like that you've learned from your experiences traveling with your kids that either I wouldn't pay or do that again, or that you would have done differently?
Hmm. I think one of them was when I was trying to find the right credit cards to support what I knew I was going to do. I asked a lot of questions online. Okay, what's the best travel credit card? Because I spend a ton of money for my business anyway. I didn't have any of the points. So now my bookkeeper has me on a plan. She like holds my hand. I'm the worst with organization. So she's like, you're using the Disney card. So I have the Disney Visa card, which I use only on Disney property. It's worth getting because it's not like I have outstanding money sitting on it. I only use it to get the percentage off that you get at Disney parks. So
Mhm.
the merchandise, the food, like whatever. And you get points like when you sign up that come in a Disney gift card. So if you're going to Disney for the first time or you plan on going there recurring, the Disney card is great for use on property. My JetBlue card is for all my personal spending, and it paid for our flights for next year. So just when you add up the points, you can use it for that yearly trip, and it's like then you justify, "Oh, I'm spending this money anyway, and I'm getting it in points." So those are my 2 cards that I use that I would do again. The thing that I wouldn't do again is not stay at the Polynesian. Like, we loved this is the
You
thing, we loved Art of Animation when we stayed there, like, loved, loved, loved it,
I was
and
literally about
now
to say, you're not going back to Little Star movies?
no, those were that I've done that, I did that a bunch of times. I even
Hey,
went on spring break one year for college. I did Disney with
Nice.
4 of my friends. We were like, "We're all partied out, let's go to Disney this year."
That's awesome.
that I feel like those are really great points, but it very much is like once you experience doing a better resort and putting more of your budget there,
Yeah,
it's harder to it is kind of harder to go back.
yeah.
And you can get great deals on some of the better resorts too. But Nikki, it's been so much fun, and we really appreciate you coming on the show. Everybody, make sure you check out the Unplugged with Nikki podcast. We'll make sure again links are in the show notes, all those fun things. Nikki, we really
Thank
appreciate
you
having.
guys. You were
Yeah,
Thanks
great,
for
absolutely.
coming.
and I can't wait to go to my PO box to get the gift from your wife. Tell her thank
Yeah,
you. Hello,
A-
thank you.
a- absolutely. And if anybody wants to get a quote, as always, our vacation planning services are free. I'm a travel agent with the Magic for Less Travel. Links to get a free quote are going to be in the show notes. So please definitely check that out. The hats that Nikki was referencing is what I'm wearing. Park Adventures apparel. My wife designed those. Link will also be in the show notes. And we appreciate all the support. Everybody that's been listening, please like, rate, and review the podcast. Make sure you sub to Nikki's podcast and like, rate, and review that one also. She's got some fun episodes. It sounds like you've got Molly coming on soon, so
We yeah,
we'll definitely
we
be
we posted that one last week. She's on. You can listen to it now.
definitely. So I must have missed that one. Definitely make sure you check that out. Mammoth Club's a lot of fun on YouTube.
Yeah.
So if you're a Disney fan, check them out also. And we will catch you guys next week.